Okay, guys, today I want to talk about Tamika Mallory. I'm going to just hop into it because I told you guys I have a string of videos that I want to make, and so I'm going to chop through this really, really quickly. Sorry for all of these unannounced lives, but I'm just doing it as the spirit moves me. So, with that said, I was talking to I think I was on Nyla Says panel and I brought up Tamika Mallory. You guys know that my memory is like shot to all hell. And there was some confusion over who I was speaking of. But this has been on my heart for a long time, the situation with her, how they're trying to push her out of a movement that she helped to found. But today I'm going to be doing some analyzing on a couple of interviews that she did, one with PBS, one to The View. I want to speak not just on what she says and where she stands. I want to speak on how she handles the white people in the room. I'm not sure, depending on how much depth I go into during this, how much of this I'm going to leave on YouTube or if I'll make this video private after it airs. But nevertheless, be sure to click the thumbs up as you come in. I'm going to go ahead and get into it because I don't want to play any games with YouTube today. YouTube likes to play games with my videos sometimes. I've actually had videos banned worldwide and I've had videos banned in the United States. One of my videos is banned in almost 300 countries. So today, YouTube, I want to just give my fair use disclaimer right now. This is my fair use copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. The fair use definition is fair use is a doctrine in the United States copyright law that allows limited use of copyright material without requiring permission from the rights holders, such as commentary, criticism, news reporting, research, teaching, or scholarship. It provides for the legal, non-licensed citation or incorporation of copyrighted material in another author's work under a four-factor balancing test. Now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this. Like I said, YouTube likes to play with me, but today I don't want to play with YouTube. So let's just cover all our bases and click all of our boxes. I'm going to be doing a screen share. I'm going to be sharing some excerpts of a couple of interviews and then just discussing it with you. It's going to get a little heated toward the end. It's more the end of this conversation that might make me make this video private. So let's just get into it. Let me start my screen share. All right, so I'm just throwing up my fair use right now because like I said, YouTube, they play a lot of games with my videos. They like games, and I don't have time for games today. Let's start with her PBS interview. There are a couple of points in this interview specifically that I want to look at. So let me pull out my notes so I can get to the timestamps. The interview starts out slow because all they really want to get to is she an anti-Semite? Does she not like white people? And will she denounce Farrakhan? So we're going to skip most of this interview because she's just, pitter-pattering around to what she really wants to talk about. Let's start here. I'm going to let the ad play through. I want you guys to pay special note to how she handles these people, but it's really her interview on The View that I liked. And I want to talk about how we use others for our benefit. So let me go ahead and back it up and get the volume going.
Extreme? No, I think white leadership? No, I think it is because this country has yet to address and to really own the oppression of people of color. And when we bring it up and when we talk about the complexities of our communities, people push back and say, not now. let's wait and talk about that later, or you're being divisive, or this hurts my feelings, or it's not fair, I didn't have slaves, I was not the one who did, that's the type of conversation that we get.
Do you think the women's movement right now is insufficiently sensitive to women of color?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that, even what has happened to me, I felt it in this movement. So I'll give you an example. Before we had the March for Our Lives moment, which was an incredible moment in history where
I just want to back it up again, and I want you guys to just listen to how this starts off again. They want her to step down because she wants to be pro-Black. So I just want to back up.
No, I think white leadership? No, I think feminism is completely comfortable discarding women of color. Very comfortable with that. This is not, it's almost as if it's expected.
Is it because the feminist movement began in this country in sort of the mainstream?
No,
through white leadership?
No, I think it is because this country has yet to address and to really own the oppression of people of color. And when we bring it up and when we talk about the complexities of our communities, people push back and say, not now, let's wait and talk about that later, or you're being divisive, or this hurts my feelings, or it's not fair, I didn't have slaves, I was not the one who did, that's the type of conversation that we get.
Do you think the women's movement right now is insufficiently sensitive to women?
So I want to stop here. I'm going to be stopping and starting like I said. She is one of the founders of the Women's March. She's the one who organized the DC March that was the largest march in all of US history. They want to drag her off of her pedestal because they don't like that she won't denounce Minister Louis Farrakhan. They don't like that she's aligned herself and won't denounce Russell Simmons. They don't like that she wants to have a Black focus in her rhetoric. They don't like that she organized a protest on behalf of police brutality against Black men. They don't like a lot of things about her. And they can't bully her into doing what they want. Now, as we listen to this interview and the next interview, I want you to note that the talking points of the women that they're choosing to confront her, which are blonde-haired, blue-eyed white women, are exactly the same. They ask the exact same questions. They come with the exact same rhetoric. Now, I didn't plan this, the media planned this. The Jewish-owned media planned this, right? For all of their fear of anti-Semitism. But I want to go ahead and I want to keep playing this because it gets good.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that, even what has happened to me, I felt it in this movement. So I'll give you an example. Before we had the March for Our Lives moment, which was an incredible moment in history where young people particularly led the charge around gun violence. The Women's March had a march from the NRA to the DOJ, and we specifically focused on Philando Castile. Philando Castile being a young man who was killed in a car by a police officer, even though he said, I have a gun. And the officer heard him and still shot him. A legal gun owner with a license, and he was killed. Painful. The Women's March was out there leading in terms of that conversation. But the backlash that we received within the women's movement, the emails from people, why are you all marching around gun violence? This is supposed to be about women's issues. What does gun violence have to do with this? We had people highly upset.
So, mind you, for the Castile incident, as Black women, we know that if our Black men are being slaughtered in the street, that's a woman's issue, right? Because that's killing our leaders. That's killing our children. So men's issues are women's issues. And as a Black woman, she recognizes that. Now, I want to go on record saying I don't agree with everything she says, but the things I don't agree with, I won't be airing publicly for the most part. Other than the LBGT thing, I cannot get with that. Y'all know I don't deal with the gays. And I don't do abortion. I'm not about killing Black babies. But she got pushed back because she organized that, because her advocating for Black men is a problem. These are all the reasons they want her to step down.
We would even participate in something like this. And then all of a sudden, school shootings happen. People are hurting, as they should have been. And then it's like, there's this, epiphany. Wow. And everyone all of a sudden is like, oh, gun violence is a thing, and we're going to get behind this movement. But when a woman of color came forward and said this is an issue, and it's an issue for my community, we didn't get that same support.
So listen to what she's saying. She said when she organized for Castile, the women's movement march that she started, people drug her in the media because that wasn't a women's issue, even though we know that if our men are being killed, that's an issue for the women, right? They lead our communities, they're our sons, etc. But when white people, because it's their kids that are going up shooting up schools, okay? When white people's kids were grabbing guns and killing each other, all of a sudden it was okay to talk about men with guns. It was okay to talk about something that wasn't a women's issue. And she's pointing out the hypocrisy in the sweetest possible way. But I'm gonna you guys watch this woman's demeanor change, because remember I told you the conversation, that's why I didn't play the beginning of the interview, started off on some giggly, you know what I mean, working up to what she really wants to discuss. But you're gonna watch this woman's demeanor change, and the look of irritation bordering on hate in her eyes. Just watch her. Watch how the interviewer's whole demeanor changes as this interview goes on, because it's about to get hot really quick, right?
Elena Castile was a human tragedy. It is a stain on the country the way that case specifically was handled. And I applaud you for taking it up. I can also understand the argument you're making, which is that when a woman of color, in the context of the Women's March, raises an issue that is of importance to all women, it doesn't get the attention or the focus or the energy that issue gets when the same issue affects white people. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right. And thank you for articulating it for me so well.
I wanted to make sure I understood it. Yeah. Let me ask you about another charge when you're dealing with a diverse movement and different groups of people, because there have been some claims that the Women's March has been insufficiently inclusive of Jewish women. You were quoted in the New York Times, tell me if the quote is right. We learned a lot about how, while white Jews as white people uphold white supremacy, all Jews are targeted by it.
So first of all, that was an organizational statement.
Okay, so
that statement,
that's not your statement, that's by the...
It was an organizational statement that was written by a number of people, Jewish folks, Black women, white women, if I was saying that out of my mouth, I would have said all white-skinned individuals, including Jewish women. Anyone who has white skin in them.
Wait, I just want to back that up, y'all, because she actually made the statement have more force than her organization, which includes white people and Jewish people, were willing to give it. And this is about the time in the interview where this white woman becomes done with Tamika Mallory. And this is what I'm talking about. We need to get back to a place where we can have honest conversations. As she said earlier, white people are comfortable playing integration and playing open-minded and playing inclusion until it gets real. And it's about to get real in this conversation. And this white woman holds her composure better than the next white woman. But you can see it change when she says all white-skinned people. That's why when people try to mince with me about who's white, who's not, if you have white skin, you benefit from white privilege. And so Tamika is saying, that was an organizational statement. I would have put it on all white people. And I'm going to back it up because I want you guys to hear this. And I want you to hear her reiterate herself when the woman tries to get her to back down on this statement.
Organizational statement that was written by a number of people, Jewish folks, Black women, white women, if I was saying that out of my mouth, I would have said all white-skinned individuals, including Jewish women. anyone who has white skin in America is able to benefit from white privilege, and white privilege is, in fact, a part of white supremacy.
When you talk about Jews upholding white supremacy, I mean, there are white supremacists in this country who target Jews.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, we just had the Tree of Life synagogue shooting where white supremacists went into a synagogue and killed 11 Jews, citing the Jewish community's interest in supporting refugees. So when you accuse Jews of upholding white supremacy, it feels and seems inappropriate in the context of this mass white supremacist slaughter in a synagogue.
Well, if you want to put it in the context of that particular issue or that incident, which is a horrific incident in American history, then that's fine. But if you want to talk about the overall context of how we exist in America, then I think it makes perfect sense.
Let's do both.
I mean, it doesn't change. The bottom line is that people who have white skin, including white Jews, benefit from white privilege. Is anyone, I mean, even
So people who have white skin, including white Jews, benefit from white privilege. I would double down on that and say the Jews own the media. The Jews own her show. I mean, what are we saying right now?
even Jewish people say that.
I like that they try to hide behind, you know what I'm saying? When we know that the skin color is what brings the privilege, not the religion. The skin color is what brings the privilege. And be clear, let's be clear, all Jewish people are not white. Judaism is a religion. Black Jews are not benefiting from white privilege, right? Anti-Semitism is not about whiteness, is it? Because Black Jews don't benefit from white privilege. And there are Jews that are not white. The benefit is in the skin. The benefit is in the color. And I like how the woman tried to make it about something that happened at, you know, where Jews, and that was wrong, right? That violence against them was wrong. But see, all Jews are not white. And so I like that she's doubling down on it. But like I said, this is at the point in the interview where this white woman gets done with this little Black girl. She's over her at this point. I'm going to back it up just a little, and then we're going to listen through.
I mean, it doesn't change. The bottom line is that people who have white skin, including white Jews, benefit from white privilege. Is anyone, I mean, even Jewish people say that.
I understand the argument that white people are benefiting from a system of privilege that is structural, that has existed for centuries. I also understand white supremacy to be an evil ideology that is filled with hate and insists on not allowing anyone else into the franchise. So help me understand the conflation of white privilege and white supremacy.
So what does not mean to say that you are a white supremacist and that you are akin to the KKK. But if you have white privilege in this country, and particularly if you don't address it, own it, focus on it, and figure out how to be in relationship to other people who know how dangerous it is, then you again are participating in upholding the system and unwilling to help us tear it down.
There were and have been accusations of anti-Semitism that have been reported.
So I just want to stop again and just say, and this is what I'm talking about. People, see, there are people who hate white people, right? I don't hate white people. And I can deal with white people. And I'm going to give you an example of a white person that knows how to behave. Because Tamika is very careful when she brings a white person out of her pocket. It's a white person that knows their place, right? I'm comfortable with white people who know their place. That means I can speak candidly and honestly about conversations of whiteness without you falling to frickin' pieces. And you know to stay on my program as a Black person and not get on your own program as a white person. There are white people that will do this. And I'm going to show you a little white girl that's part of her organization that she brought. And literally she signaled the chick, and the chick, she started to play bulldog for her. And see, at the end of the day, we have to realize that these people, we have to deal with them. And just like they use a black face to play bulldog against us, we can play that same game. But see, the only white people, for me, that you can flex with are white people who know to roll with your program. And while you're tearing down the white structure and speaking truth about how they organize, they don't get tight. And see, this interviewer is about to get tight because she's comfortable. This is how they try to play you. Oh, I agree that, you know, racism is bad. I agree that there's white privilege. You know what I mean? But she's going to stop agreeing very quickly when the attack becomes that there's no excuse for this and whiteness is the problem. She's going to go south.
And reported that you have said to co-leaders of the women's movement in the beginning who were Jewish, you know, your people have all the wealth. And was there any credence to any of those accusations?
So the accusations against me are 100% false. It didn't happen. If I did not believe that anti-Semitism was a real issue, if I did not believe that Jewish women should be a part of it, I wouldn't say it. I stand very, very clear in my principles and who I am. So the reason why you have seen me say things about the Jewish community, the reason why you hear me talking about anti-Semitism is because I truly believe that those issues are issues that we need to address.
Do you think that you have evolved your thinking, especially with respect to the discrimination against Jewish people?
Absolutely, certainly. When we first heard in Charlottesville, the Jews will not replace us, I didn't pick up on it. I thought they were saying, you will not replace us. But when someone said to me, hey, they're saying the Jews will not replace us, I was horrified. And I think in that moment, what I realized is that we need to make sure that we understand all of the communities that are hurt and feeling in this moment, this incredible, sense of despair. And I think that's why there are definite legitimate concerns about Jewish women feeling included. So I don't want to take away from that. But there's also a sense of divisiveness.
I want to change the subject a little bit.
And this is why I say that Black people, and I'm really with Cynthia G on this, should be in power and not white people. This is why. Because you see, as a Black woman, she sat there and said, white skin carries a privilege, and that is a problem, including Jewish people who have white skin. They benefit from that same privilege. But in the same breath, she would say, but I do believe that we should be treated fairly. See, Black people wouldn't go out and do anything like what happened in Nazi Germany. Black people would never do that. We're very humane people. See, with Black people in charge, this is why we need the Black Nationalist Party, and we need to be watching people like Tamika who know how to talk to them. And we need to be watching people like our brother who is a former Black Panther and has a seat in the Senate. We need to be watching people like this, because when we start this Black Nationalist Party, y'all, we can put these people in the forefront. Because here's the thing, Black people don't function like white people. We'll keep some ignorance in check without completely dehumanizing and destroying whole other groups of people. She's able to say anti-Semitism is not right. I agree with that. But that white Jews are benefiting, and when they do something inappropriate, be willing to call that out and petition her people and her people's causes first. And that's wise and pragmatic. See, that's how Black people would rule. That's different from how white people rule, which is kill and degrade everybody around them so that they can stay on top. This is why it is essential that there be a change of power. Because without the humanity, you are a barbarian. And we see historically how they make moves with power. They become barbaric. Black people have a level of humanity to them that would make us better leaders on the whole. See, Black people who don't have a white person living in their head, that is, because a Black person with a white person in their head is just a white person.
I noticed as I was doing my research on you, I saw Facebook Live about a trip that you took to Israel. And it was clearly a really high impact visit for you. I want to share a clip from that Facebook Live.
In terms of us screaming, free Palestine, yelling, free Palestine, we're doing that work, but we also are responsible for really pushing our elected officials to see that any support of a country that is abusing the native people from that land is not support that we as a country that is supposed to be about freedom and justice for all, that we should do.
The one question I have is the term native people, when you use it, how do you mean that?
The Palestinians are native to the land. You know, they were there for a very long time, and so they're native to the land.
Do you feel that the Jewish people are native as well?
I mean, I understand the history.
Okay, we're about to get into something here. You know, when we have a Black issue, I have never seen, maybe you've seen it, I've never seen about how hard this white woman is about to go for Jews. She's about to go very hard for Jews. Watch it, to where Tamika gets irritated. They won't go this way for Black people. And in fact, she's going to be accused, Tamika's going to be accused of using her Blackness as a shield to protect herself against the Jews in the next interview I'm going to show you. But watch how hard this white woman goes for Black people. Now, y'all know I give two craps what's happening over in Palestine with the Israelites and all that. But this is what I will say with the Jews. This is what I will say. I agree that they have a right to protect themselves. I just can't care about them right now because I have my own people to worry about here, right? I just can't care about them. But let's go ahead. I want to just pay attention to how hard, because they own the company that owns our public broadcasting system, PBS. And so this is a Jewish owned thing. And so their agenda is to protect themselves. And they have this woman and she's about to do their work for them.
That, you know, that there are people who have a number of sort of ideologies around why the Jewish people feel this should be their land. I'm not Jewish, so for me to speak to that is not fair.
There are people who are concerned that the language native land is used to delegitimize Jews from having a state.
So I've been again, I'm not Jewish, and so I won't speak to that. What I will speak to is that I believe that the Palestinians also need freedom in their land.
But are Jews native people also?
That is not my call to make.
If you're willing to say that the Palestinians are native, but not the Jews are native, you're not Palestinian either.
Because I'm speaking of the people who know are being brutally oppressed in this moment. That's just the reality.
Are you unwilling to say that the Jews are native people?
I'm going to repeat. I'm not going to change my answer.
Okay. Is it your view that Israel has a right to exist as a nation?
I have said many times that I feel everyone has a right to exist. I feel everyone has a right to exist. I just don't feel that anyone has a right to exist at the disposal of another. That's it.
See, these are one of those yes or no questions. There are a whole lot of people that get irritated with me. She's asking Tamika a yes or no question. There are reasons why you don't answer questions yes or no. And people don't like it when I don't do it, but I'm just showing you in real time every question that somebody wants a yes or no answer to, because they want to trap you into their rhetoric and take a conversation a certain way. Sometimes you need to be a little more verbose. Are the extra words needed? No, but they're needed. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hold on, there's only one country that's targeted for annihilation and constantly at the brunt of arguments that it doesn't have a right to exist. Which is why.
But I didn't say that. I said I believe all people have the right to exist. All people.
And in your view, does that include Israelis in Israel?
I believe that all people have the right to exist, and that Palestinians are also suffering with a great crisis, and that there are other Jewish scholars who will sit here and say the same. I'm done talking about this.
Okay.
So you can move on.
So, okay, I get it. You don't want to say it. I just don't think it requires scholarly knowledge to be able to say that Israel has a right to exist.
Again, I believe everyone has the right to exist.
I do want to move on because I do want to talk about the Women's March.
See, that's the mess I'm talking about. I've had this happen to me on YouTube and in real life. When people want to control what you say out of your mouth, when they're trying to control what your rhetoric is going to be, and they try to frame their questions in a way that only one set of words is an acceptable answer. And I'm glad she checked her on that. I'm glad she checked her on that. See, controlling, manipulative people that think they're in charge of you, that's the kind of stuff they like to do. And I'm always watching for that. And you'll see me, I'll do the same thing as Tamika. I would duck and dodge with wordy answers because you're not going to force me to say anything.
I want to wrap that up. You know, there have been some calls for your removal. As I understand it, the calls for you to resign have to do with what some people view as a refusal to denounce or disassociate yourself from remarks from the leader of the Nation of Islam. A lot of people are upset because you posted on Instagram calling Louis Farrakhan the greatest of all time. Do you want to respond to that?
No, I'm not talking about Minister Farrakhan anymore. Minister Farrakhan is not a part of the Women's March, so there's no reason for us to discuss that.
You have said that you didn't call the leader of the Nation of Islam the greatest of all time because of his rhetoric. You called him the greatest of all time because of what he has done in Black communities. And it seems to me that the criticism is that you haven't been willing to disassociate yourself from his rhetoric, which to the Southern Poverty Law Center and to most people is hate speech.
I stand against anti-Semitism. I stand against all forms of bigotry, all forms of oppression. I will continue to do that work, and I will continue to be in relationship with the Jewish community, with the LGBTQIA community, and any other community that I feel is being oppressed in this country.
Okay, yeah, y'all know I can't get with the gay stuff. I want to move on to the next interview. I want to point out the two things that they really have a problem with. You can't come for the Jews. And she's managing to do that with anonymity because she has control over the people in her organization. Her ship is tight. And this is what I said, when you make alliances, this is a place that I feel the Black Panthers failed at the end, is they started making alliances with white people. But see, here's the thing. When you make alliances with white people, which Tamika has done, they need to know their place. And their place is that they never step out of line no matter what you say. No matter what you say about whiteness, no matter what you say about the white establishment, they need to be with it and acknowledge it at all times. Because if they're willing to step out of line because their whiteness is offended, they will do you damage. They will do you damage. So I want to go to the View interview. Again, YouTube, this is for you, YouTube, because I had to read a whole fair use statement at the beginning of this and post it in the description box, y'all. I cannot play with YouTube. They like to ban my videos in multiple countries. They like to ban my videos in the United States, and they like to ban my videos worldwide. I've had that happen several times over. So we're no longer playing with YouTube. Let's go to the View. And this is the interview that is going to probably make me have to make this video private. But let's go ahead and get into it.
Last 2 years, the Women's March has been a rallying cry answered by over 5 million women worldwide. I walked the streets to march here in New York, but this year some ugly accusations and controversies threaten to overshadow this amazing movement. So we are here, here to tell us what they're going to do to make things right. Please welcome the co-presidents of the Women's March, Tamika Mallory and Bob Bland.
Okay, so for the View, note she brought this white girl in the red with her. This is her girl in the red, okay? You know how white people have Black people and they use them, and they're like Black people, they pull out their token tools. So in this situation, this high yellow, can you see her? Can you see my thing? This and I'm saying high yellow. You guys know I'm sorry, I'm Geechee, so I use a lot of, I don't mean any harm by it, Black people. My daughters are high yellow. I'm just saying this high yellow one right here, her. They are going to use her as the Black person that's going to do their dirty work. And the one in the red is going to be used to do Black dirty work. Okay? This is like a chess game. You know what I mean? Okay. And you have the pawns, they're out there moving one step at a time, doing the business of the king and the queen. And so we're about to watch that here. We know Whoopi, I'm not about to drag for real a Black person on a public forum. So we'll just ignore Whoopi and act like she didn't say anything.
Yes, Bob. First Women's March.
Oh, can I make the screen larger? Sure. Let me make it larger. There we go.
Took place the day after the new guy was inaugurated on January 21st. And it became one of the largest protests in history, and it happened all over the country. You organized DC. What was your response when you saw how people were coming out?
And this is why they're afraid of her. This Black woman organized the largest march ever in this country. She managed to do that. And this is why they have a problem with her. See, that's too much power for a little Black girl who wants to hang out with the Nation of Islam, is not willing to let Black issues slide, and isn't going to let Jewish people slip under the radar with their white privilege, especially when they own everything, y'all. You can't be a victim and run everything. Okay, you got to pick one role or the other. You're going to be in charge, you're going to be a victim. But they've been doing it, and this little Black girl will not let them. This Black woman right here is not going to allow them. And so they are trying to drag her out of her own movement. It's her movement. And they're trying to drag her out of her own steps. But they're having a hard time doing it.
Well, I mean, it was incredible. Obviously the turnout and also just all of the emotion that went into the planning. We actually organized not just DC, nationally and internationally.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, Darnell, as far as your Whoopi comment, I'm going to delete it. Not because of anything, except for what we need to really learn as Black people is that there is a limit to how much we can say about each other in open forum. There just really is. Because it's an open forum. Everybody's watching. Like I said, I have my own feelings on Whoopi. I have my own feelings on a lot of people. But y'all, we just have to be careful. We just really, really do. What we do to each other. If there's a whole table full of, we could get on this white woman on the side of the table. She'll be hopping out to be smart and froggy really quick. And you guys can direct your vitriol toward her. But, let's not direct our vitriol toward the Black women in the room, even though we know some of them are moving in really lopsided ways.
So there was a lot of work that went into that day, and obviously the culmination of it was great. But many of us, particularly the women of color who stepped in to be leaders, we were called to come and be leaders of the march to ensure that the march was diverse. We weren't really shocked that people were so angry and had this such of an intense feeling. We knew that this country was in trouble, and that there was only before a moment in history that would come that we would all need to be called to the table to address it.
And I just, as a new activist, looking at 1.2 million women and allies just in DC alone, I saw that these are the leaders we've been waiting for. And we always wanted to see these women become the face of our leadership and the face of the nation. And I think that's what we saw in the midterm elections, where we saw a historical outpouring of thousands of women running for office. And in the Congress alone, over 100 coming into Congress for the first time.
Well, there has been some controversy surrounding the Women's March organization. And Tamika, you came under some fire for your relationship with Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. Now, he's known for being anti-Semitic, for being homophobic, but you do attend his events, and you posted, I believe, a photo together calling him the GOAT, which means the greatest of all time. And you are running an organization that says it fights bigotry. Do you understand
Again, they're making everything about Louis Farrakhan. They cannot stand this man. And so note how they play the game, right? We have to like analyze this stuff. If you're going to watch their programming, don't watch it so you can be programmed. Watch it so you can analyze how they move. Because see, this is how you have to move too. And see, Tamika's done this. See, she's brought out her piece. Now they have 3 pieces on the board. They have Whoopi. She's like moderating, right? And then they have these 2 that are going to do the dirt. So they bring out the black one first, right? Because the first person to attack her can't be a non-black person. So they bring out the black person first. They bring out Whoopi to say, I participated in the march, even though there's some questionable stuff going on. So that's Whoopi. Then they bring out the next black person that's going to do the gentle attack. And then they're going to bring out Blondie over here, who's going to do the real dirty work, right? Because she's going to speak for how people really are feeling.
And why your association with him is quite problematic.
Now, I think it's important to put my attendance, my presence at Savior's Day, which is the highest holy day for the Nation of Islam, in proper context.
Okay.
You know, as a leader, as a Black leader in a country that is still dealing with some very serious unresolved issues as it relates to the Black experience in this country, I go into a lot of difficult spaces. I wrote a piece immediately following the beginning of this controversy, talking about wherever my people are, that's where I must also be. So I also go into prisons where there are people who have been convicted of heinous acts. And I am trying to help people to move from wherever they are today and build that unity to bring them to a place where we live in a more fair and equitable society. And I think that that work is not easy for everyone to understand, but it's certainly work that I'm committed to.
Now, note she said fair and equitable. Okay, now y'all, what you have to understand is that there are terms that they use. So my man does a lot of work with white people, right? Because white people are very much interested in equity, right? And diversity. These are like their catchphrases. And so when you are on their channels, on their media and things like that, you start taking their words because they can't fight back against them, because these are the words they like to use in their colleges and all their little programs. When they start little funds, it's all fairness and equity and multiculturalism. And you know, they'll have like multicultural centers and the Center for Diversity and student equity. And you know, this is how they train their foot soldiers in college, right? So she's using all of their terms. That's why I said, y'all, we have to analyze this. You have to know how to talk to these people to make them not have anything that they can really say. This is why they brought the blonde girl out, because her lead was so good. She started talking equity, inclusiveness, diversity. You got to use all these words. You have to be clever, okay? The Bible says harmless as harmless as a lamb, but wise as a serpent. Right? We have to be wise as serpents. They're serpents. We have to be as wise as them. We start using their language and we embrace these words. And then we use these words in our rhetoric. And then it makes it hard for them to argue against their own catchphrases. And so that's why they're going to bring out this white chick, because she's starting to use all of their terms. So then once you use their terms, they've got to go along with them, because they've made a huge deal out of, you know, building all of these centers and movements, and in college teaching people that these terms are God terms that you can never disagree with. Once you say equity and diversity and multiculturalism, you can't disagree with it. So we have to start using their terms and setting them up, which is exactly what she does here. And you're going to watch the panel members get upset because she's turned their words against them.
And everywhere that I go is difficult. The Women's March was very difficult. I met with a lot of women who did not even understand why race was important to be a part of the conversation as it relates to women's rights issues. And it was a lot of, offensive rhetoric that I heard. And, and just because you go into a space with someone does not mean that you agree with everything that they say.
But let me push back a little bit. Why call him the greatest of all time?
I didn't call him the greatest of all time.
Now, it seems to you, well, it seems to them, she's talking about Minister Farrakhan when she's like, just because you go into a space with someone doesn't mean you agree with everything that they say. Now, the people who want her to denounce Minister Farrakhan are going to think she's talking about Minister Farrakhan. But note the lead up to that statement. The lead up to that statement was, I go into spaces with regard to the Women's March all the time, and I hear all kinds of negative stuff. And just because you go into a space with somebody doesn't mean that you agree with everything they say. That could be interpreted as if she was talking about Minister Farrakhan, but see, she's very intelligent, and let me back it up. She's talking about the people that she engages with in the march, not in the march, but that she has to go to the table with in the room. I'm going to back it up so you guys can see that sleight of hand. See, this is a brilliant woman. And the fact that I'm analyzing this openly on YouTube is probably why this video is not going to stay public, but I'm going to go ahead and just back it up just slightly, because I want you guys to listen to how she words it. Okay? They're trying to get her to denounce Minister Farrakhan. She calls out people who are racist in her own ranks that she has to go to the table with. And then says, just because you deal with people don't mean that you agree with everything that they say. That is her response to them talking about Minister Farrakhan, is to turn the tables and talk about people she's got to deal with that are racist, that want to deny that race is important, and that she's not in agreement with. Very, very smart. Very smart.
Rights issues, and it was a lot of, offensive committed to, and everywhere that I go is difficult. The Women's March was very difficult. I met with a lot of women who did not even understand why race was important to be a part of the conversation as it relates to women's rights issues. And there was a lot of, offensive rhetoric that I heard. And, and just because you go into a space with someone does not mean that you agree with everything that they say.
But let me push back a little bit. Why call him the greatest of all time?
I didn't call him the greatest of all time because of his rhetoric. I called him the greatest of all time because of what he's done in Black communities. And I think that,
let me just interject really quickly. I would never be comfortable.
Okay, so you see she's about to, this white woman is about to lose a chain, right? She's about to drop like 5 screws on the front floor because they're mad that people clap to that. So she called Minister Farrakhan the GOAT. And here's the thing. I am with her on this. I don't think white people are devils, but I can understand why somebody might call them devils, right? Because the way that they move collectively is pretty demonic, okay? I don't believe that white people aren't humans, but I understand the argument that if they're out there saying they have, up to 9% Neanderthal DNA, that would make you not fully human. That would make you part Neanderthal, right? I mean, I get it. Okay, but it doesn't change the fact that at the end of the day, the Nation of Islam is on point. If you guys go to my Patreon, you don't have to pay for it. I have an old, and I'm gonna put some more old interviews up with a brother from the Nation of Islam. And they are on point with their stuff. I mean, he had white people in the audience come out of their fakeness, okay, with his real. He got so real, they stopped being fake. Okay, and I think that's why people really don't like the Nation of Islam. They get so real, white people stop remembering that they're supposed to be pretending. You start to get to know all kinds of things about white people. You just need to let them listen to one good lecture from the Nation of Islam. And you will discover things about white people you never knew were true, because they will tell you. They will be so pissed off, they will come out of pocket. They'll forget that they're supposed to be diverse and inclusive and have equity in people that aren't white. They will forget that real quick under one good confrontation with somebody from the NOI. And this white woman, after that little hand clap, she dropped about 8 screws. She's being held together with like 1 screw right now. Okay, she's going to try to come for her. And let's watch her do it. Oh, and see, Meghan McCain, isn't that who she is, this little fat chick? She thinks she can because of who her father is, but her father is literally an ardent racist. But we won't even talk about that, right? Because I don't delve into, all that kind of stuff when it comes to white people. But let's just say her father is an ardent racist, but they're trying to make him out to be a war hero. And since she knows that that's a facade people have of her father, she feels she can drop 8 screws and come a little bit unhinged with Tamika Mallory.
supporting someone who called, I'm not anti-Semite and I'm anti-termite. It's the wicked Jews, the false Jews that are promoting lesbianism, homosexuality. I actually spoke with the journalist from Tablet magazine who released an investigation report on your organization.
And I just want to double back with, we know that the Jews own this media, right? Because why do they care so much? You know what? I wish that congressman that was talking about white supremacy, this, and why is this language considered offensive? Why isn't he all over the news with people throwing it up in his face and acting crazy? They have been dragging Tamika for like a year, y'all. This has been going on for like a little over a year. They have been outright dragging her over this situation. They have been trying to displace her out of her leadership position for a year and making it all about the Jews. When is the last time you heard a situation with a Black person who was like literally physically hurt, or a white person that said something anti-Black, where for a whole year consistently the media has tried to drag them out of their position? This has never happened. This is unheard of. But see, when you're busy playing victim and you own everything simultaneously at the same time, see, this is what I'm talking about. Why we need to be in power, people. You know, I can't be mad at the Jews because the Jews, they've got it right, okay? They have perfected this stuff down to a science. You're going to run everything and then use your henchmen for anybody who ever dares to say anything about you that's even halfway sideways. That is utter brilliance. I mean, we have to call it like we see it. That is brilliant, okay? Only they could do that. Tamika is a part of an actual underclass. And they will come for her on behalf of people who are not disenfranchised at all. Hell, there's whole communities of them not working, period. And nobody's talking about that.
And in part, they allege that there is a lot of anti-Semitism surrounding this march. Specifically, the report alleged that you, Tamika, and co-founder Carmen Perez asserted that, quote, Jewish people had a history of exploiting Black people and were proven to be leaders of the American slave trade. Now, a lot of people...
Okay, is this not true, though? Is that not a true statement? But because she said it, it's a problem. Totally true, but because she said it, it's a problem.
A lot of people, I include me in this.
Now, keep in mind, the little white girl she brought is still quiet, okay? The little white girl in the red shirt she brought with her hasn't spoken yet.
That you're using your organization as anti-Semitism masked in activism, and that you're using identity politics to shield yourself from critiques. You're talking about all women being invited to that march. I'm pro-life. We were not invited. We were not allowed at that march right there. I'm a conservative woman. I also represent, if you're talking about women, you should be talking about all women, including Jewish women as well, and conservative women.
Look at the look on her face. I'm sorry. The look, she's really actually mad though, y'all. She's not even pretending. Like, she's actually pissed off in like real life.
Are those allegations true?
Well, first of all,
okay, now I just want to back up. Do you see the look? So they threw it out there. Now the white woman is finally going to speak. Okay. The white woman is finally going to speak that she brought with her. Let's just back it up. This white woman hasn't had anything to say the whole interview, okay? We are almost 6 minutes into a 9-minute interview, and this white woman has not spoke yet. But you saw Tamika, y'all just peep game. Just peep game. See, this is what I'm talking about. Watch how she does this. See, she brought a white person with her for this. She had to for The View, because you know how they do on The View. And this was utter brilliance. And this is what I mean about the same way you have Black people that will stay on code for white people to the death. Don't think that they won't either. But see, you cannot deal with white people who can't hear honesty and know to stay in their place. But see, she has a white girl that knows how to stay in her place. Let me just back it up. Let's watch the transition from the white girl not talking to the white girl having something to say. And listen to what the white girl says. That's what's important.
Are those allegations true?
Well, first of all...
No. Did you see Tamika's hand? Wait, I just need you guys. I just need y'all I just need you to see it. She asked the question. Tamika said, "You've got it." Did you guys peep that? She was like, "This is why I brought the white girl. This is why I brought the white girl." Jason, I don't watch The View, okay? Just FYI. But I pulled up this clip. I don't even have a TV. I was looking for clips of her interviews and I found this interview. First of all, who watches TV with any sense? But don't think I won't use this interview for a teaching moment. So let's get back to that, okay? I want you to watch Tamika literally instruct. She's like, "You've got it." And she looks and she points at her. Y'all peep it. Watch it.
Are those allegations true?
Well, first of all,
Who did the white girl look at? Y'all, we're going to analyze this. This is called being in charge. The white girl looked at Tamika. I'm going to back it up just one more time because I need you guys to see this. See, this is when you've trained your troop. Okay? You know how we see black people trained by white people on TV all the time. It's a rare occasion that we get to see a white person who's been trained by a black person. So I just need you guys to pay attention to this. The white girl looks to her leadership, that black woman. The black woman points, says, "You've got it," nods her head and like go on, take this. Like, you do this, okay? Watch it happen. I just need you guys to watch this happen.
Are those allegations true?
Well, first of all, those allegations are not true. That is not how that meeting happened. And the Women's March.
So the journalist I spoke to was lying.
The people that the journalist spoke to did not tell the truth.
Period.
Full stop.
That's it.
And
Okay, wait. She said the people the journalist spoke to did not tell the truth. And then Tamika said, period. And then the white girl repeated, period. Okay, this is what I'm saying. When you train, okay, y'all train. This is just, I'm sorry. This interview made me so happy. I'm telling you guys, y'all, we need to know how to deal with these people. All right, I'm gonna back it up and I'm gonna let it play. I'm sorry, y'all.
did not tell the truth.
Period.
Full stop.
That's it.
And I think it's important for us to understand and all be very clear in this room that the Women's March unequivocally condemns anti-Semitism, bigotry.
Condemn Farrakhan's remarks about Jewish people.
Yes, and we have repeatedly in statement after statement this year, which are available directly.
Now, note that we just watched a whole interview with Tamika is not about to condemn crap Farrakhan said, but she brought her white girl to handle this.
On our website for anyone to read. We condemn any statements of hate.
So remember that black, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna back it up. I'm gonna let y'all watch it all the way through. I'm sorry. I'm getting too excited. Listen, remember when the black dude and the black woman were doing the white man's work for them, and the black woman was like, "You just got to where you were because of white privilege." And he was like, "But I'm black," right? And then the next day, Fox News had him on saying, "There's no such thing as white privilege. White privilege is a myth. White privilege doesn't exist." Full-on black man on Fox News saying that. This white girl is doing this for Tamika. We do not agree with Minister Farrakhan. Tamika's not about to say it. Okay, white people aren't about to say white privilege doesn't exist. Fox News wasn't going to have one of their white anchors come up there and talk about white privilege doesn't exist. They had a black man do that. Tamika's not about to condemn Minister Farrakhan. We just watched a whole interview where she refused to do it. She's refused to do it during this interview too. She let the white woman do that. I'm telling y'all, like, we have to peep game. See, this is how you handle them if you deal with them at all. And make no mistake, just like they have to deal with us to infiltrate black people, we must do the same. But see, this is when your white person knows their place. I'm going to back it up. I'm going to do my best not to stop it, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm going to do my absolute best to not stop this again and talk to you. I promise you.
Are those allegations true?
Well, first of all, those allegations are not true. That is not how that meeting happened. And the Women's March...
So the journalist I spoke to was lying?
The people that the journalist spoke to did not tell the truth.
Period.
Full stop.
That's it.
And I think it's important for us to understand and all be very clear in this room that the Women's March unequivocally condemns anti-Semitism, bigotry.
Condemn Farrakhan's remarks about Jewish people.
Yes, and we have repeatedly in statement after statement this year, which are available directly on our website for anyone to read. We condemn any statements of hate, and we've actually been working so hard over the last 2 years to fight this type of hate over and over again, and we're committed to repairing any harm because we understand that the Jewish community is feeling hurt right now, and we want to make sure...
I don't speak for Jewish people, but I think I'm just confused. These remarks are, I mean...
She is a liar. She speaks for Jewish people. She's on a Jewish-owned station, but I told y'all I wouldn't stop it. I'm sorry.
It goes on death to Israel over and over again.
We did not make those remarks. You can't.
How is she going to say, I don't speak for Jewish people, and then whine about death to Israel? Like, make that make sense.
But you're associating with a man who does publicly.
What I will say to you is that I don't agree with many of Minister Farrakhan's statements.
Specifically about Jewish people.
As I said, I don't agree with...
I love it. Wait, I'm sorry. Okay, y'all, I can't help it. She's not going to say she doesn't agree with the statements about Jewish people. I don't agree with many of Minister Farrakhan's statements. Maybe he likes chicken and she doesn't. Okay. He made a statement, I don't like chicken. Tamika doesn't agree with that statement. Okay. She may not agree that blue is a good color and he does. She's not going to specify the statements that she does or does not agree with. I feel in love with this woman. You know, and I'm going to tell you something. If we give her our backing, this is what I'm saying, we need a Black Nationalist Party people. If we start backing women and men like this, then they don't have to do anything. They can be unapologetic. They don't have to pander to the gay cause. They don't have to, if they have backing behind them. Right now, she has to do a level of political correctness that would not be necessary if they knew that they had strong backing by our people. But I admire that she's even willing to do this much, right? And this is why they really want to like completely destroy her career. But see, her ship is too tight. You saw how that white girl was moving. Tamika was like, period. The white girl was like, period. Like she was like a parrot.
Many of Minister Farrakhan's statements.
You condemn them?
I don't agree with these statements. At the end of the day...
You won't condemn it.
No. To be very clear, it's not my language. It's not the way that I speak. It is not how I organize. And I think it is very clear over the 20 years of my own personal activism, my own personal track record, who I am. And that I should never be judged through the lens of a man.
Ooh, and then she brings out their rhetoric again. I should never be judged through the lens of a man. Oh, you know how the feminists are. I'm telling you, when you turn their own rhetoric against them, I should never be judged through the lens of a man. Why are you trying to do to me the very thing that we're supposed to be fighting against? You want to make me about this man. You want to define me through a man. Don't do that. Didn't white women fight that we wouldn't be judged through the lens of a man? I'm telling you. You use their thought process, their words, their stupidity against them. And it wins every time. That's why this white woman is about to fall apart. She's like about to like literally lose all of her shit right now.
That is actually not what this women's movement is supposed to be about.
I don't want to be judged through the lens of something that's speaking for all women. When you're associating with extreme anti-Semitism and are you comfortable, both of you, being on stage with a Trump supporter, someone who's pro-life, someone who is a very, vociferous.
Yes, we are.
All right, so I'm going to have a Trump-supporting woman, conservative pro-life woman on stage with you guys at the next march.
There was absolutely no prerequisite for people coming into the march.
Pro-life women.
We never
that is not true.
So,
I actually have pro-life women in my family who, as a result of the Women's March, have been engaging in what we call courageous conversations with me over the last 2 years that have helped expand all of our understanding. We welcome pro-life women. We welcome conservative women to the Women's March. The Women's March is open to all.
I appreciate you both coming and
so my last question.
Yes.
is, do you understand why people...
Now check it. The white chick is still in submission. The blonde chick is in submission to Whoopi, who's in submission to a bunch of Jewish people. But my point is that notice the game. Do you know what I'm saying? This is a game, and with pawns on the chessboard, and it's wild.
Feel that you stepping down might put some air between all of this before a conversation can continue?
I also know of people who don't want me to step down. And so there's both sides of that. There are people who actually support my leadership, and I am willing to lead until my term at Women's March is up.
Okay.
All right, y'all. So thank you, Darnell. Let's be clear. I'm very torn, you guys. I'm very torn about leaving this up. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm torn about leaving this live up because we just did some analyzation that honestly, I needed to do it on my channel because I needed as many of you guys to see it as possible, right? That's what's up. I needed as many of you guys to see it as was possible because there aren't a lot of modern day unapologetic conversations happening on behalf of Black people. There aren't a lot of modern day Black people in the public eye who know how to handle white people that they allow in their presence. Tamika handled this white chick in the red shirt the way you handle it. I go back to her motioning her, letting her know you got this, letting her know when she was on the right path with her speech, period. And the white girl was like, period, in repetition with her. Knowing how to have the same control when you deal with them that they have when they deal with our people. Do you know what I'm saying? When they have our Black puppets on stage with a full-on white mind. So I'm very leery, right? I'm very leery to leave this up on YouTube much longer, just in open freaking forum. But I want to be clear that we have work to do as a people. We have work to do as a people, and we need to know how to move and navigate. I hope that I know I learned a lot. I hope that we all learned a lot about how we deal with them. How we deal with them, how we combat their arguments. We need to be standing behind Tamika in a vocal way, in a vocal and visible way as a people, because they're trying to remove her. Because one Black woman that organized the largest march in US history, who is unapologetic about associating with the Nation of Islam, knowing what their rhetoric is, who won't denounce even the rhetoric coming out of the mouth of Minister Farrakhan, who won't, as we saw from the first interview, back down that whiteness, even when that whiteness is on a Jew, has a privilege attached to it, and that there needs to be a focus on Black people, who was willing to call out the fact that they didn't like her organizing a march for a Black man who was unjustly murdered by a police violence. She was willing to call them out that they had a problem with that, but when it came to white people shooting white people in schools, all of a sudden they had an epiphany. She has these white women falling to pieces, interview after interview after interview. She cannot be touched because of her presentation. She knows when to bring white people who are in check to the table, and she knows when to turn them on to do the work. See, we don't move in the right ways. I'm telling y'all, we don't move in the right ways as a people. We get focused on the wrong kind of stuff, and we do the wrong kind of things. We don't know who we need to back and when to back them. But see, it's women like these that we need to be giving our attention to. Men, and you guys can help me do a little research because I'm looking for people, right? Y'all think I'm always playing and stuff, but I'm serious about this stuff because I'm trying to get, I'm trying to do my little 2 cents of a part in the community. We have Bobby Rush, a former Black Panther, who is a representative in the House of Representatives. Did you guys know that? That a former Black Panther, they keep electing him in Chicago to be in the House of Representatives? We have Tamika Mallory. I'm telling you, when I say start a Black nationalist party, our own political party, it won't just be Black people. It won't just be Black people. We can use their own thought process against them. It'll be white people that think that they're progressive. It'll be freaking brown people that got caught up in the, everybody who's colored conversation. It'll be Muslim people. They will follow. And these are the people we need to be looking at when we're talking about who we want in elected offices. Who we want, if we're going to play that game, who we want to put in positions of power. See, I don't care about the Women's March. I don't care about the Women's March. I care about the power this Black woman has to command this white woman. I care about the power this Black woman has to organize the largest march in history. I care about the power. That's what's relevant. We need the power. The physical force, the coercive force, but also the verbal force and the force to move bodies is essential. Okay, please don't talk any Wakanda talk. You must be playing. You have to be a troll. I can't with the fucking Wakanda stuff. I hate that crap. This isn't a damn movie. This is real life. Like, nothing is a joke. Nothing is a joke. Wakanda is a fake place. And the guy that was supposed to be the hero in that movie, like I said, back to my Uncle Tom and Sambo were villains. The Uncle Tom, the Black dude that didn't want to hurt anybody, who wanted to be friends with everybody, was the hero in that movie. And the revolutionary was the villain. The revolutionary Black man was the villain. So screw Black Panther. Screw that freaking movie. It was a dumbass movie. Some brainwashed propaganda. It was like Uncle Tom's Cabin made into a feature film. That was what Black Panther was. It was Uncle Tom's Cabin, the book, made into a feature film. You know how Uncle Tom was the hero in Uncle Tom's Cabin? The Black man that loved his people, would never lift a finger to do crap. Wanted to follow all the rules, didn't want to hurt anybody. No trouble here, just waiting for the graciousness and goodness. That was Uncle Tom's Cabin, and that was Black Panther. It was the same damn thing. The dude that was about some action and getting some business done, that was about calling out the atrocities that had been committed against his people worldwide and didn't want to stand for it, was the villain in Black Panther. And all these Black people like that damn movie. To hell with that crap. That was a crappy movie. That was some complete and utter bullshit. And I better never see another Wakanda Forever shirt. That shit is crazy. Screw that. I sat and analyzed that movie with my kids. That was some absolute crap in that movie. Flipping Uncle Tom's Cabin for the 20th century. And Black people want to be behind that. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry, Pretty Sassy. I'm just saying, I'm sorry. Honestly, I think the whole Black Panther craze and then all these Matrix references, they just get on my nerves, y'all. We live in reality. Like, just turn off the darn TVs, please. Because all that they have on there are backwards things that make little to no sense. So, yeah, Killmonger was the real hero. That's what I'm saying. You know, Killmonger was the real hero. in that movie. But notice he was the one that was killed, and killed by his own people. Whatever. Even your 14-year-old son saw through the BS. Thank you. Thank you. We need to take a reevaluation of that movie. Why are they always trying to brainwash us with the movie? And then every single person who actually is about doing something is always the villain in the movie. Or in the case of Uncle Tom's Cabin, the book, that person just didn't exist. There just wasn't a Black person that was, and every time they did, they got their hearts turned by some Black person that loved their people, but was super peaceful. Like, y'all, I'm all for peace and all that, but like, you know what I mean? Some of this stuff is ridiculous. It just really is. So with that said, I don't honestly, like, y'all, I don't think that I can leave this up. I don't know. Let's take a vote in the chat. I really think that I need to pull this video because I feel like that was a little too much analyzation of the sisters, like stuff. One, if you think this video needs to be pulled, so it's not in public forum. Two, if you think we should leave it up. Maybe I could leave it up for a day. Y'all, I don't know. Yeah, you're right, RY. That's true. No, ZLV, it's not about it being my real perspective. Most people, it looks like, want to, yeah, most people think we should pull it. I think we should pull it too. I know what my real perspective is. My real perspective is not the problem. My problem is that I don't want to be leaving that kind of analyzation up for people who aren't Black to be learning anything from it. So, yeah. I think that's what we're going to have to do. But I am glad for those of you that caught it. And yeah, I'm glad for those of you that caught it. So with that said, I'm going to get out of here, you guys. I will be with you again because, like I said, I have a whole bunch of content I wanted to make, but this was one I wanted to make, and the timing was just right because I think these two interviews were really good for us to take a look at and analyze. And with that said, I appreciate you guys taking the time to come here and do this with me. Okay, I'm gonna go, and I'll talk to you guys a little bit later.